Sam Raimi is an American filmmaker born in 1959. He became famous among us horror fans through the Evil Dead movies. In the same named review, I speak about the beginnings of his career. His first feature was the 1977 crime thriller It's Murder, which has also in a supporting role later Evil Dead star Bruce Campbell. In 2017, he was one of the 3 directors of the star-filled 10-minute US horror The Black Gandiola, where someone loses his family in a zombie apocalypse and now tries to save a young woman. Produced by the Make a Film Foundation, which since 2005 has been helping children and young people with serious illnesses to make short films by bringing them together with well-known actors, writers and directors. In this case, for the implementation of an idea by then 16-year-old Anthony Conti, here as lead, who died of his cancer before the premiere. The mainstream audience knows Raimi foremost through the Spider-Man movies from 2002 till 2007. See also the same named specials. For Darkman from 1990, see the same named review. In 1994, the Hudsucker Proxy by the Coen brothers didn't find its audience in cinemas. Raimi, who has a long friendship with the director-producer duo, directed the second unit. In the extremely entertaining satire with impressive design and fantastic cinematography, a naive idiot becomes president of a large company in the 50s, in the context of a stock fraud. By costs of $25 million, he sadly made only half of it worldwide back and was a huge box office bomb. In 1995, the western The Quick and the Death suffered a quick death at the box office. After years, a woman wants to take revenge on her father's killer, which is now the mayor of a small town. With a shooting contest, he gets once a year rid of his competition. The movie made just half of its $35 million budget in the US back and was another flop.
When I close my eyes, when I look your way, when I need to feel that lies inside, when I hear you say, in the heat of the moment, say, someday,
The very good cast with some nowadays very famous actors in supporting roles like Russell Crowe and Leonardo DiCaprio couldn't save the unimaginative and predictable revenge story, which only can score with its interesting visuals. In 1998, the thriller A Simple Plan was based on the same named 1993 novel by Scott Smith. The brothers Hank and Jacob discover together with a friend in a remote forest area a crashed plane with $4 million and a dead body. By trying to keep the money, their lives turn quick into a nightmare. The $17 to $30 million movie, the official numbers contradict each other, made only $16 million in the US back and was presumably not a hit, but earned multiple awards and nominations and received very positive reviews.
The light of the fact, I'm alone at a level, the sand stretched far away, in the heat of the action, in the settled dust, hold and scream.
A Simple Plan is not a simple movie, but a well-cast, good-acted, excellently staged variation of Dostoevsky's crime and punishment theme. Here, unimagined abysses open up in many seemingly simple souls. The main characters are merciless confronted with the fatal consequences of wrong decisions, envy, greed and revenge.
In the meeting of mind, down in the streets of shame, in the betting of names on gold to rust, in the land of a blind. Someday, come
In 1999, the sports relationship drama For the Love of the Game, after Michael Sherr's same-named 1991 novel, didn't find any love at the box office. In this boring baseball movie with never-ending relationship soap opera scenes, Kevin Costner plays Billy I don't give a fuck whoever breaks for whatever reason a baseball record I don't care about. Like everything which has to do with commercial so-called sports, I completely don't give a shit about. With a $50 million budget, it made just $46 million worldwide back and was a huge flop. In 2000, the mystery thriller The Gift felt more like a burden. A psychic sometimes foresees things, such as the location of a murder victim, sometimes not, such as who the killer is. At least not immediately, but only bit by bit, because script says so. The far too well cast, boring as fuck flick with a ridiculous crime plot made more than 4 times its $10 million budget back and got even some positive reviews. Probably from critics who were also gifted themselves with the power of not recognizing giant plot holes, confusing overacting with talent and jump scares or fake outs with art, in order to be able to see even in the last crap some positive. In 2009, the story of the fantasy horror Drag Me into Hell dragged really like hell. A bank employee is cursed by a gypsy because the bank wanted their money back. Now she's sometimes attacked by crazy CGI effects, sometimes not, who knows. I have no clue. All sorts of unnatural things happened because of script, and it's not quite clear what is supposed to be real. The $30 million movie made 3 times its budget worldwide back and was a success, I guess. Back then I was disappointed like hell because of the super fake effects and the ultra lame unimaginative cliche overloaded story, in which apparently everything revolves around food and disgusting shock effects. Now, 13 years later, the story still sucks, and the CGI, what a shock, doesn't look any better either. 2013, Disney's Oz the Great and Powerful was just a hack and neither great nor powerful. The fantasy movie is a prequel to the famous 1939 classic The Wizard of Oz, based on the American children's book classic by L. Frank Baum. More about this soon in the same-named review, in which a con artist magician is taken by a tornado to the enchanted land of Oz, where he becomes at the end, thanks to cheap tricks and science knowledge from the real world, the famous Wizard of Oz. Similar to Army of Darkness, in which a time tunnel gets etched to the enchanted Middle Ages, where he uses his real-world science knowledge to become a celebrated magician / leader whatsoever. With a budget of $250 million, Oz couldn't even make $500 million back worldwide and was for sure not a hit, but got praise from spineless Disney chills, easy detectable, because most of them tried to confuse their audience with meaningless so-called information like this movie was the so-and-so most successful of 2013, instead of simply sticking to the truth. Similar to the 2010 Alice in Wonderland abomination, this piece of shit presents a silly, in the case of Alice it was a Grimer variant. In terms of tone of the originals, it would have been more appropriate the other way around in both cases, more realistic version of a timeless classic that nobody has asked for. Raimi confuses here his god-awful Army of Laziness script with the Wizard of Oz one. Tons of horrible CGI with directing, and again James Franco with a real actor.
the heat of the night. In the heat of the night. In the heat of the day. When I close my eyes, when I look your way, when I meet the fear that lies inside, when I hear you say, in the heat of the moment.
2016 sees under different direction the release of Doctor Strange. In 1978 there was already a film adaptation which, by the limitations of the time, comes off unintentionally funny.
In the heat of the night.
After his career is destroyed, the arrogant Dr. Stephen Strange learns his true abilities from a healer. At the magic school, he witnesses that a former sorcerer's apprentice on the wrong track is trying to plunge the world for purpose of eternal life into the dark dimension. In the fight against evil, Strange becomes the most powerful magician in the world and the sorcerer supreme. But actually not. The fat sidekick Wong gets the job after the Thanos 5-year blip from Endgame. The well-cast, from my point of view, rather boring movie lives exclusively from its effects, since there is no exciting story to speak of here. Hero and enemy are as strong or weak as the script requires. I have no idea why, who can or can't do what. Besides, from my point of view, there's nothing more lame than magic aka kids stuff. The Disney CGI Fest is estimated to have cost between $160 and $240 million and made $680 million worldwide back. For now, I spare myself the comic/film comparisons when it comes to Marvel, since Disney squeezes the original comic stories of their so-called film adaptations anyway into their MCU storyline, which means they often just use the title and pull the rest out of their ass. And even that is just a vehicle for their agenda of the week. This week, SJW, Woke, or Kissing China's Ass. In Strange, for example, the role of the male Tibetan mentor, the ancient one, was cast with a Celtic woman, but at least the boldness they got right. Because where the mind grows, the hair must give way.
When I hear you say, in the heat of the moment, say, someday, someday.
In 2022 came Raimi's sequel, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It takes place after the events of Spider-Boy 3, see Cub vs. Spider-Boy, but is primarily a continuation of the rather lame 9-part TV series WandaVision from 2021. There, the witch Wanda held a small town hostage to live there with imagined family, the android Vision who died in Endgame and 2 children from the android, until she realizes her mistake, frees the villagers and gives up Vision and children. In Dr. Woke in the Daldiverse of Sadness, she wants now nevertheless again her children, but no more mentioning of Vision, namely those of alternate universe Earth 838. Our universe has the number 616. For this she needs, beside a MacGuffin which all are after, the magic book Darkhold. Strange is after MacGuffin number 2, the Book of Vishanti. Just like the Necronomicon in Evil Dead, there are also evil twin versions. Apparently the super duper magic powers of America Chavez, over which she has at the beginning still no control and kills by accident her 2 mothers.
A lighthouse in the middle of Prussia, a white house in a red square. I'm living in the films for the sake of Russia, a kilo runner for the day and the 52 daughters of the revolution. It's burn the gold, it's the crown.
And in the comics, gay Latino girl from a gay universe utopian parallel. Number whatever, who cares. She's called America and seems like a Captain America clone, although the United States don't even exist in her universe and can, at first by mistake, but in the final, after Doctor Strange motivational speech, punch star-shaped, holds in reality to travel to other realities, exists only once in all the Daldiverses and has all the superpowers. Super strong, super fast, unbreakable, she can also fly and so on, that the script just needs. Which was obviously dictated by a 5-year-old. The, as has become clear since 2024, well over $400 million disaster was by the Disney liars in the year of its release deliberately falsely stated as only $200 million, to make it seem as if its $955 million worldwide box office, which is still over $100 million short of at least break even, was not a flop. The movie, with sloppy effects and an embarrassingly laughable story that makes zero sense, is just a puke-boring soap opera. To which back then and today only Disney-bought critics and brain-dead wannabe comic book fans spin something positive on. But even they would need real magic to sell us this fiasco as a success.
Nothing to lose. Stuck inside of Memphis with the moon by a homesick. Mother Russia, Mother Russia, Mother Russia, ring down, down, down. Mother Russia, Mother Russia, Mother Russia, ring down.
In Sent Help from 2026, the unpopular, since annoying officer worker Linda and her new arrogant boss Preston, who has just taken over the company from his father and immediately passes her over for a long overdue promotion after a plane crash, are stranded seemingly alone on a deserted island. His survival, initially severely injured and helpless, now depends entirely on the surprisingly impressive, given her years-long fascination with survival shows, skills of his former employee, while she gradually begins to enjoy life in the wilderness, deliberately ignoring a passing boat and trying to convince Preston to stay. He refuses to be for another moment at the mercy of the woman he despises, see also Misery, and makes futile escape attempts. The $40 million horror satire made in its first week alone in the US over $24 million back and received for me incomprehensibly overwhelmingly positive reviews. The story seems very contrived, and I found it rather moderately entertaining since there isn't a single positive character to root for. They can both rot on the island. Linda turns out to be a cold-blooded psychopath who doesn't even shy away from murder, including that of Preston's fiancée searching for him to preserve her forced togetherness. After he discovers her body and a secret mansion on the other side of the island, she ultimately kills him in the final and gets away scot-free, even takes over his position at the company upon her return. So a glorious victory against the patriarchy, I guess.
Mother Russia, ring